Hi, this is Lukas over here at the Hoey Farm, and we wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about what sustainability means to us. So me and my wife are the owner-operators of the Hoey Farm, and we are a small farm, family-based farm, and we farm organically, and however, we're not certified organic. We farm as sustainable as possible, and talk to you for a little bit about what that means to us. So what sustainability means for us is we don't use any harmful herbicides, pesticides, or synthetic fertilizers. All of our fertilizers and pest management and weed control practices are sustainably sourced. So as far as weed control goes, that's what you see going on in the background right now. My wife and daughter are over here pulling out. We had some collards that had bolted, and so we pulled those out. So right now they're pulling the stirrup hoe across the beds, and that's going to get out a lot of the crop residue and some of the weeds that had started to sprout. My daughter's in the background, and she has a small hand tool. It's my daughter in the background. She has a small hand tool, and she's helping loosen up some of that crop residue. And we like using the stirrup hoe, and it breaks up the dirt as well as shaves off any little tiny weed sprouts. And so that really helps us get things going for bed prep, and we rely a lot on the fauna in the ground, so we wouldn't want to harm those by spraying anything that contains like glyphosate or any of those other numerous chemicals that people tend to use to get rid of the weeds. As you can see, this is some of our other stuff. We also utilize plastic. We're trying to get away from that as much as possible. We have some plastic down for some onions, because onions don't provide a good canopy for getting rid of or for shading out weeds. So we do utilize some plastic, but we're moving away from that. The goal is to have a nice canopy like you see here on these mustard greens, and that'll, we do what we're doing to that bed right now. We stirrup hoe it, and then we'll lay some amendments down, compost and pelletized chicken manure, and then we'll let that sit for a little bit, and we'll cover it with a plastic tarp known as a silage tarp. And then as soon as we remove that tarp, we plant into it, and you see here this mustard. I'll turn this camera. This mustard, you don't see a lot of weed seeds that have sprouted. That's because we kept the tarp on it as long as possible. We removed the tarp, and we did all of the broad forking and things like that before we put the tarp on. So as soon as we took the tarp off, we were able to seed into it, and the mustard came up and was able to grow faster than any weeds could germinate. So that's what we do as far as our weed management program. And we have some pressure with white moss and stuff like that lay down like the worm larvae, and that's just something that we have to deal with. But the pest pressure stays pretty, it's not as bad, as it could be. And I feel like that's because we have a diverse farm where, like right there I have mustard, and then right here, I have kale coming up, and then right beside that we have spinach. And we feel like having a diverse group of crops draw in different pests, and so some of those pests are predatory pests to some of the problem pests, like say whiteflies that might plague kale. Then we have different plants that attract lacewings that will come and they'll eat the whiteflies. So all those things are some of the things that we do to sustainably control weeds and pests. And yeah, so this is a little of what we got going. Like right now, I don't know if you can see that in the background, but there's some collards back there that have bolted, and we're working on removing those today. And then I have some lettuce started, and underneath that row cover is just some more spinach. And we had that row cover on to kind of guard from the heavy rains that we had. We didn't want it to really disturb our plants too much. But yeah, that's a little bit about what sustainability is for us. And this is the Hoey Farm again, and on this part we're going to talk to you a little bit about how we bed prep and how we develop a fertile soil. So with that bed that we just showed you, we like to add in compost on top of all this stuff. So we get this from a company that composts, on a big scale. The goal is for us to have our own compost program that's large enough to facilitate our needs. We're just not there yet. We do compost, it's just we don't have enough to add the fertility or the soil structure that we require for this North Carolina red clay. But we've already added compost in to this 50-foot row, and so that's got a bunch of organic material and inorganic material, like when you break it down, there's calcium, iron, magnesium, all the things on the periodic table. And so since soil is 45% of that inorganic material and 25% water, it's also 25% air. So the next part of this process is what I'm going to kind of demonstrate for just a few minutes. And then after that, we'll go back over it with what's called a tilther. It's a small scale power harrow, but what I'm going to demonstrate for you right now is what we use to incorporate air, since soil is 45% inorganic material, 25% water, 5% stuff, and then the rest of the 25 is air. So right now we're going to be incorporating air via a broad fork. So I'm going to show that. So how you do that is we use this thing that kind of looks like a really big pitchfork. It has 12-inch tines on it. Stab it in the ground, use your weight. Get down in there, then you lift back. You don't want to disturb it too much. And you bring it back about another, 8 to 10 inches. Lift the soil up. Keep on going back until you get done with the whole row. And the reason we like to do that is because if we were to use a tiller to incorporate the air, it will incorporate the air, but in our opinion, it destroys the soil structure, and we've worked pretty hard to get it to this point. So we like to disturb it the least amount as possible. Also, we're not disturbing the fauna that's inside the soil. So like all the worms are still happy. And adding the compost also, will promote the worms who want to come and feed on it, and produce worm castings, which will put in beneficial bacteria, which will in turn feed our crops. So that's basically how the broadboard goes. And I'll do that for the remainder of this row. Kind of show you guys what that's looking like, and we do that to, we do that to every single one of our beds. And we've done it for, this is our 4th year that we've been growing out here. It's the 3rd year that we've been selling our produce, and this is the 2nd year on this plot. So this plot isn't, it was all red clay, and now it's, as you can see, this dirt, you're supposed to be able to squeeze it and it kind of holds together, which it does, pretty nicely, and it was just all just straight up red clay at one point. And that's not, as most of everyone knows in North Carolina, that's not what you want. This is what you want to work towards. This isn't even as good as what our soil in our original plot looks like, but it'll take maybe one more season and this stuff will, be right on track. But yeah, that's it. All right, we just finished broad forking this 50-foot bed, and this is kind of what the soil looks like after it's all said and done. It's broken up, lifted up. There's still some crop residue, some weed residue, but all in all, this is what we're kind of going for. All the compost to get a little deeper down into the soil, along with the organic amendments, which we use. It's a pelletized chicken manure. We also use some kelp meal and some green sand, some rock phosphate. But after that, we will throw right here, which is basically a small power harrow, which just will get the top of this bed nice and smooth, ready for our cedar. This thing doesn't use any sort of gas, so there's no emissions in this area, so that's good. It'll take these crop residues, whatever weeds and stuff like that we didn't get through, and it'll just grind it up right there in the soil. I'll give you a brief demonstration of kind of what this thing does. It's not going to do great because I am doing it with one hand, but so all that stuff that, the holes and stuff will be filled up with this, and kind of leaves the soil looking really nice, and it has a nice, nice tilth to it, and that makes us happy. And from there, I'll tamp it down a little bit, just so I have a nice firm, area for seeding. I don't know exactly what I'm going to seed in there at the moment, but we'll figure it out. But yeah, we're the Hoey Farm, and we like to farm sustainably. We have, salad greens and spinach, and we like to do a lot of greens in the spring and fall time. In the summertime, spring going into summer, we like to do things like beets and carrots and cherry tomatoes and okra and all those types of things. We like to kind of do some different varieties, some stuff that is kind of unique, but we also like to bring in some of the oldies but goodies as well. So please come out and support local businesses. Come out and support us. We've been in business since 2021, and we hope to expand in the future. But yeah, appreciate you giving me some of your time, and come out and check us out.